Welcome to episode 431 of Salcedo Paranormal. And tonight I will be sharing more of my thoughts on the paranormal and specifically on UFOs or UAP or however you want to label them. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page. And that is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds, or if you listen on the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Digital Broadcasting. There you can find replays of 2 episodes of the show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Michael Strange and Trouble Minds Radio comes on. As always, I want to thank Mike as well as Liam Martin, and also known as Rohan, from the Exile Minds podcast, for producing the show, putting it up on the station, and making the music and adding it to the beginning and end of every episode that you hear when you listen on the station. If you'd like to support the show, there are some different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your podcast platform of choice. Also, if you are into paranormal fiction or nonfiction books, I've written some of those you can check out on Amazon. And if you'd like to make direct donations to the show to help cover expenses such as equipment, research materials, and other expenses that go along with trips to conventions and other things that may come up along the way, there are a few different links for that. You can donate directly to PayPal, Venmo, and also Patreon. And help is never expected, but always appreciated. And all those links can be found in every episode description and on Discord and on the podcast page. And it's usually under the there's all my links address there you can click on that will then take you to all those links. Really excited about going to that Paracon and meeting anyone there that I might know or that might know me from the podcast, if anyone else is able to go. I always include the link to the event information on each episode description as well at this point, just so that everyone can check it out. And maybe we can meet up if you're able to go. So I think that covers everything there. I was going to do a book review show tonight, but decided sort of last minute I needed to change plans there, and so this is something that's been on my mind a lot lately with sort of everything that's been happening in the news. I don't know so much about mainstream, but just within the paranormal and UFO or UAP community or discussion online. And so I've been following all these things as well as I can for a couple of years now, really, through different websites like Twitter and just random searches and things. And because I've had experiences, I've talked about them before with the blue light that I saw 7 different days in a row. Not in a row. 7 different days, several days in a row within that stretch. I've had my own possible abduction experience. So I do believe there is stuff going on out there that seems, at the very least, seems paranormal. And so in a way, I don't blame everyone for trying to find out as much as they can about about all this, including about what various governments and corporations may know about it. Um, but there's some patterns I've noticed over the last few years. And this is sort of something I've noticed in that it's not directed at anybody in particular. It's just patterns I've noticed by watching sort of news that comes out and different things. And the pattern I've seen is where there's supposed to be big news coming, then it's supposed to change everything and sort of lead to this announcement by some kind of authority in governments in a government that aliens exist, and here is the proof. And first of all, for me, I'd be interested in that announcement, but it wouldn't. I wouldn't hang on every word of it. I wouldn't be. It wouldn't surprise me at this point, just based on my own experiences, and so. But it'd still be amazing if that kind of thing came out, and if there was no political or otherwise, there was no agenda to that kind of announcement. But I think the problem I've it seems to me the problem would be that anytime you're dealing with government or military, they're always trying to sort of maintain their best possible position in everything, whether it's sort of public image or security or all these different things that they have to deal with. And so to me, I don't really need any large group to tell me anything about this, because I've already had experiences, and if you look around online, you can find so many other people who've had experiences as well. And even if any percentage of those are genuine and the people aren't mistaken or hoaxing or whatever, then that means there's something there, and that's amazing. And I really do think there is something there, as I said earlier. So, but again, just it seems like there's always going to be some kind of agenda. On top of that, one of the things that makes me think this is it seems like every time there's supposed to be this big news, it's never really seems as big to me as what the hype or what the build up says it was going to be. And so you have this cycle of something is coming and it's going to be big, and then something does come, some kind of news does come, but then everyone is divided as to whether or not it was really that big, and then the cycle starts again, where some people will sort of say, well, this is big because it's going to lead to this next or this other piece of news that's going to come out. And I've seen this happening not only in terms of today, in terms of online today, but just hearing as many stories of historical accounts as I have. It seems like I've heard that going about that happening for many years now in different forms, obviously not with the internet, but over the years as well. And so that's why, to me, I'm much more interested in what everyone has experienced on their own or with others, but not sort of not. I'm interested in the experiences people share without being forced to, or sort of having to do that because of being connected with any kind of official or large organization where there could be manipulation. And that's not to say that people can't have experiences and then have the story of the experience or the account of the experience manipulated. This is making me think of recent events. Of course, you have the two that have stuck out to me. Of course, are the whole UFO whistleblower thing that's going on, and then the sighting of the light in the sky that crashed crashed into the surface, and then the sighting of aliens, apparently, from the reporting of the family that had this experience over in Las Vegas. And these two things that happen. Now, of course, the Las Vegas sighting, that is something that apparently happened over a month, almost 2 months ago now. But only recently, over this last month, started to be covered more, and around the same time as the whole current whistleblower thing. Now, this Vegas sighting to me is a perfect example of it's possible to me that the family could have really seen something odd that they couldn't explain, and it could have even been something paranormal or some other kind of entities that they saw or heard or sensed on their property. But then once you get other people involved, it's hard to say what was really going on there and how the story was sort of manipulated or altered, and then what various parts of the government wanted to do after this was reported. And I'm not going into details here because that's not as important to what I'm talking about here, I don't think, as just the idea that there could be people could be having experiences, but then the information could be manipulated and or allowed or not allowed to go out as it is. And so there's just all this these levels. I don't think anything is ever quite as easy to pin down as, oh, it's all hoaxes, or it's all excuse me, it's all government or corporate misdirection, or it's all paranormal. I think there's so many layers to all this that mix and make it really hard to know what's going on for sure. And that's why, again, I prefer looking into personal experiences where people have encounters with the paranormal in whatever form, and there is no major involvement by large groups of people during or right after the fact. So that's sort of my really my thoughts on all of that as of now. And I'm still going to watch everything, because if there ever is something that happens that sort of everybody online and everybody in the world, in general, of course, gets behind and says this seems like a genuine thing, I'm all for that. I'm very interested in that. So that's why I watch for these things. It's just that at this point, with everything I've heard and read, I'm just not holding my breath on that that sort of an event to happen anytime soon. But if it does, I want to be aware and be checking all the places online and everything for news on it. So I think it's important to sort of watch these things as they develop, but sort of watch from a distance, not um, let any one side sort of convince you of what's going on there when it could be that side is either mistaken or they're intentionally trying to steer the narrative. And you see that all the time. There's these two major narratives within the paranormal that, and the UFOs and UAP, that everything, all the aliens or beings are negative, or it's all positive. They're all out there to help. I don't think it's ever as simple as that. It doesn't make sense. If you look at people, there are all kinds of people out there with all kinds of intentions. So why can't there be the same thing with other forms of consciousness? And so that's sort of, again, I'm really just going off of my thoughts as I'm talking here. So, but yeah, that's basically, I think, that takes care of my thoughts on the current situation. I also figured tonight I would talk about some things that I've noticed in some of the experience stories, some of those true paranormal stories from the web that I've been noticing recently that are really amazing, and just sort of touch on those and talk about the possibilities there as to what they could be, and of course the biggest thing that is most interesting to me lately is the way people are having sightings of paranormal events through or on the basically on television or on monitors, on screens, and using devices. And there's a couple of stories I'm thinking of here that have really caught my interest in this category. And that's, of course, the first one from a little ways back is the one where this couple were sitting in their home watching TV on a streaming service when at one point when the image went to a blank screen, they could see a reflection of the room they were in, their living room. But and they could see sort of a shadowy figure sitting on the couch where they were sitting. But there was also one other difference in this reflection. So this couple had the curtain, their window curtain pulled all the way across to block out the light from outside. But in this image on this screen, again, this black screen, that is sort of like a dark mirror. And again, I want to sort of give a shout out to Michael Strange of Trouble Minds Radio again for sort of bringing this concept out more and more often over time here throughout some of his shows. And I think it's amazing because I think it tracks. But on this image, that same curtain over that window was pulled to the side. So in other words, it was a reflection of the room, except it wasn't, because there were things that were different in the image. And the writer that shared that story online, they said they got up and they tried restarting the streaming app and everything, or the device, and it wasn't acting right once they did that. And then the image kept on appearing whenever the app wouldn't, or the device wouldn't work right. And so they had to try shutting everything down, the TV and the device, and then starting it up again. And then it worked after that. So that's the first of those two stories from recently. Of course, the other one that I shared on the latest Roundtable show, I believe, was the latest roundtable show. Was with these three kids sitting in a van, or in a van, with their parents, and they were on the road, and they were watching a movie on these screens that were set up on the backs of the front seats of the vehicle, and it was a popular kids movie. It wasn't anything really that should have had anything weird on the image. And they saw, all of them saw this shadow figure on the screen, appeared to be wearing a top hat and had a cane, sort of dance across the image on the screen, on the TV screen. And they knew that wasn't part of the movie because they'd seen it before. It was one that they knew. So what do you have going on there? And of course it lasted for about 20 seconds and went from left to right, moved across the screen, then was gone. And they rewound the movie, and of course that image, that shadow figure, did not show up again. So it was not part of the DVD or anything that they had. So that's really amazing to me. 1 second here. All right, sorry about that. So that just brings up a question of what is causing these things to happen? Are entities interacting with the screens, the electricity and the power in those dark mirrors, so to speak, and manipulating them so that they appear on those images? How does that work? I don't know, but these stories, and I feel like I've heard other similar ones over the years. I just didn't register how weird they were until recently. And so that's really the biggest thing that I've been noticing. That, and I mean, there's still these lights that people see everywhere are still a thing. I think they always probably will be a thing. Now, as to what they are, as I always say, who knows? But they seem to be. There is no set size for them. They can be tiny, as small as like a laser pointer. In one story I read recently on the show, or they can be bigger than that, softball size or bigger. I believe I've even heard bigger. All different colors of light and seen in all different locations, and from inside people's homes and buildings, where they even pass through solid objects, or even people themselves. They're seen outside, both just in the woods, but also near the tops of trees. And the thing with the trees now, there was another story again. I shared a little while back now, where there were these two people walking through the woods, and one of them was sensitive to energy, and they could see and feel the energy coming up from the ground, moving up the tree and out and dispersing. So, are these orbs people see at the tops of trees part of that? And of course, they're seen out in space as well. So, and in the sky. Anyway, we're basically out of time here. I'm glad that went as fast as it did. But those are my thoughts. Thank you all for listening. And I will talk to you all in the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care.